What's up, friend? Welcome back to my channel. Hi if you're new here, hi if you're not. Today I thought it was important for us all to gather around and have yet another conversation about what is going on in the coaching industry. Now, a few months ago, I sort of experimented with this hybrid deep dive reaction interview style video where I talked about a lot of the red flags in the coaching industry and sort of integrated it with anecdotal evidence from one of the interviews I did here on my channel. So if you haven't seen the video that I'm talking about, I want you to click right here first. But basically, the format of this video today is going to be very similar. While I love doing interviews and I love creating a space for people to share their experiences in the coaching industry, to feel seen, to feel heard, it's also really important to me that this platform isn't just a space where I sit up on my high horse and drag everyone who's involved in the coaching industry. And I mean, this is why I don't really name names. I try not to show faces in a lot of the content that I create, because it's really never about the people so much as the practices that they're using and perpetuating within the industry. And while I certainly hope that the particular subsect of coaching, where it's just coaches coaching other coaches to coach other coaches, would crash and burn, my intention here really is to just share stories and experiences of people who have been negatively impacted so that they can feel seen, so that they can feel heard, and hopefully to maybe encourage people who are still tied to the industry in some way to use critical thinking and maybe open their perspective to something they haven't considered. Now, all that to say, there is a lot to be learned in today's particular conversation. I have thoughts about people taking advantage of other people's vulnerabilities, selling people on fake promises or outcomes, and outright just being, in my opinion, completely unethical. Now, before we start, I will just give a little bit of a disclaimer that this individual actually called me on the phone to share their story, so the format visually is going to look a little bit different, but I did try to add subtitles just because there is no video, so that hopefully with the voice distortion, you're still able to understand what the person is saying. Anyway, if you don't mind, I would love if you would leave me some feedback on this particular format, the editing, any kind of things that you want to say, good or bad. Please share those in the comments below when you finish watching. And now that this intro has been probably 5 minutes long, let's go ahead and get into it. Quick shout out to my channel supporters, members, subscribers. I appreciate you all so much. A particular shout out to my channel VIPs, and of course the billionaire tier for being ongoing supporters, contributors, and producers here on my channel.
At the end of 2021, I left the job I had at the time, and with very little knowledge or resources, I decided to start my own perfumery brand. I had started that in my home country about 10 years prior, and after coming to the US, I decided to relive that dream and try to make it here. I was at the end of a very difficult marriage, and I had basically a little money to follow that divorce, and I decided to put basically all of that into my dream. I had the knowledge when it comes to product and branding and all that stuff. I had that all figured out. But when it comes to business and how to actually put all that knowledge into a profitable business, I did not know how the market worked. I did not know how marketing worked. I didn't know how TikTok and Instagram and social media can relate to my business. And I was pretty scared that all my money had gone into a business I'm not very able to profit off or market properly. So I spent a lot of time on Instagram and TikTok watching other brands, but I came across a page that was owned by this guy. He portrays himself as a natural living promoter, but also a business coach, more than anything, a business coach. I think he was at the beginning of his business as well because he wasn't presenting an exact plan or strategy, but he was very convincing it to saying, hey, if you want to do your own thing, I'm your guy. I'm going to help you. I'm going to give you the knowledge, talk to me, give me a call, 15 minutes free call.
Okay, I just want to point out here that this is the telltale sign of someone who has no idea what they're doing. If someone is trying to paint themselves as an expert in absolutely everything and that they have the tools that are going to help you do anything that you need to learn how to do, marketing, sales, web design, product creation, lead generation, absolutely not. Well, sure, as business owners, we wear a lot of hats. We have to learn how to do a lot of different things. I know I certainly wouldn't be parading around telling people on the internet that I know how to do absolutely everything, even if I've done some some of those things myself. I am by no means an expert.
Maybe it's just my broke hater mindset talking.
But things like marketing, sales, web design, those are all very different, very particular subsets of skills that require a lot of time and a lot of experience in order to truly master. And so anyone that's kind of claiming to be this like one person, one-stop shop for all of your business needs, you should absolutely run away. Next, I also want to address here the issue of coaches forcing you to get on a call in order to close the sale. Oftentimes they'll pitch it as something like a clarity call or a 15 or 30-minute free coaching call, but however they spin it or label it, it's a sales call. If you're required to book a call in order to be able to pay someone for their program, again, for me, that's a hard pass. These people want to get you on a call, they want to figure out what your pain points are, and then they want to use those pain points to essentially manipulate you or guilt you into why you need their program and why you should sign up. And I say this from the experience of having been on a number of these sales calls. It's icky, it's gross, I've been on the receiving end, and the thought of it just kind of makes me want to throw up.
Step back, I think I'm gonna vomit!
So they all start, within 15 minutes, it's like, I got you, girl. I love how you're following your dream. You have such a sad story. I'm going to help you. I'm not going to let your dream, shatter away. I know exactly what to do. So, she's like, I'm going to give you like day-to-day follow-up. We're going to be in constant contact. I'm going to give you a marketing strategy. I'm going to help you build your website. I'm going to help you with your Facebook strategy. He gave me all this like whole avalanche of everything he could do.
Similar to what I've already said, what's that phrase? A jack of all trades is the master of none. Businesses are intricate. Every single industry, every single business has its own nuances. Someone claiming to be able to cover everything is likely going to lack depth of knowledge in certain spaces of a particular business because every business is so different. Much like we heard, he was telling her to do cold calling when she's selling a physical product.
Excuse me?
I don't know the last time Lululemon called me on the phone and was like,
Hey, buy our cool new thing.
like, what? It doesn't really make sense, and I think to me this just demonstrates the true lack of expertise that's shown here. It seems like this coach in particular, as well as many other coaches that I've highlighted here on my channel, is basically just fixating on growing his own bottom line, trying to get as many clients as possible regardless of what they do and regardless of whether he can actually help them, versus actually doing what's in the best interest of the client. But alas, I digress.
And I was very impressed. He is a very good speaker and talker. He talks really fast. It makes you think that he knows everything. He charged me a lot of money, about $5,000, and he's like, "Yeah, let's get to work." Every single thing and resource he gave me after this payment had nothing to do with what I needed.
So this particular conversation was particularly interesting to me because I think it's the classic bait and switch that we've seen time and time again in so many of the interviews on my channel, which by the way, if you're new here, I will link a whole playlist of all of the interviews I've done in relation to the coaching industry in case you want to get caught up. All too often, we see these coaches make the most insane, outrageous claims and promises if you join their program. Like, side note, for example, my friend Mallory, who goes by This Is Mallory over on Instagram, I will link her profile in the description of this video, shared a screenshot on Threads the other day, and my jaw was on the floor.
The woman was too stunned to speak.
I mean, not because I was actually surprised that this person was saying this, because these coaches will say literally the most outrageous things all the time, but this one was particularly bold. I'll pop it up on the screen here. It reads, "The moment you hire me, you will double your income, and this is why." So I think that kind of speaks for itself. It was actually a carousel post, so if you want me to do a reaction video where I go through all of the slides as to why this person's gonna help you double your income, let me know. But anyways, in my opinion, all too often, I've seen these coaches make these wild claims with no follow through or no way to really deliver on those promises. And it's really disheartening because I think it makes it really hard for people who are in the industry trying to operate with integrity, whether they're a coach or they're just like any kind of service provider who's not trying to be a scammer. It makes it really hard to not get lumped in with all of these people who are doing these shady things. Anyways.
He would say, "Start doing cold calling." And I'm like, I cannot do cold calling. I'm not offering the service. I'm offering the product. Oh no, start DMing, cold DMing people and tell them about your product. So everything he would suggest would not help me. It had nothing to do with what I was doing. And I started getting frustrated. And more and more and more and more, he would put me on hold. He was like, I don't have time today, but I'll come back to you tomorrow. He took the money and then had nothing to offer that would help me actually with my business. I had to teach myself how to build my website. I taught myself how to do Shopify. I built my own website. I paid my own photographer. I had my own photos. I built my own Instagram. So if anything, it just made me realize that there's no help I'm gonna get. I'm gonna do everything by myself.
My question for those of you watching, because this part is so irritating to me, it's like, what is the recourse? What are clients supposed to do when they don't get the service that they were promised? Sure, you can try and file a chargeback on your credit card. I mean, we talked about that in this interview that I did here, but that doesn't always work. And that doesn't necessarily stop that coach from then continuing on scamming the next person. Like, it's not like they always learn from their mistakes, you know? Now, I'm gonna link in the description an article that was published in 2023 by the FTC, which is the Federal Trade Commission in the US. And basically it kind of discusses their goals to stop business coaching scams, particularly ones that make bold financial claims. And in that article at the bottom, there's actually a link to where you can report fraud to the FTC. So if you're in the US, that's obviously an option. Now, obviously I'm in Canada. I'm not really aware of a government organization that exists that allows you to report this kind of scam, but if you're in Canada and you know of something, please share it in the comments and I will make sure to pin that comment to the top of the comments. Regardless of that, I really just think as consumers, it's important that we are openly talking about these experiences. I mean, that's why I created this whole channel. Now, obviously not everyone is comfortable putting their face or their name to their complaint. That's why I love things like the Life Coach Snark subreddit, because you can make an anonymous Reddit profile, you can post an honest review of your experience, and you don't have to worry about these people coming after you. I mean, I've talked about this so many times, but a lot of the larger name coaches in the industry have already been exposed for negative client experiences in that thread. So honestly, if you haven't already, go ahead, make a little anonymous Reddit account and have fun, okay? I'm curious, when you signed up for the program, was it like a 6-month package or what was the actual promise that he was making you?
It was 6 months business coaching, which he never offered me a written contract, a written program, nothing. It was just an internet payment that was followed by an exchange of text messages.
Red flag, red frickin' flag. This message is for anyone watching this video. Do not, repeat after me, do not ever, ever, ever work with someone, especially for multiple thousands of dollars, without a contract. Whether you are the service provider or you are purchasing the service, until you see the contract, read the contract, understand the contract, and then sign the contract, do not send payment for anything. Without a contract, you have less recourse to say that you did or you didn't get whatever you paid for, because you never really agreed in writing what it was you were paying for. Sometimes if you have back and forth through email, that's grounds enough to get a little bit of money or get your money back, but I wouldn't recommend that. Always, always, always ask for a contract. This is just such a huge red flag. Someone getting you on the phone and convincing you to pay them $5,000 without you having to sign anything, absolutely would not recommend.
And then every time I would talk to him, he would take my ideas and his coaching would be just regurgitating my ideas and encouraging me to go for it. That was basically everything.
Okay, just as a quick aside, I wanted to bring this up because this kind of reminds me of something that comes up a lot in my commentary here on this channel, and that's the concept of paying someone to be your personal cheerleader. At this price point, $5,000, not necessary. Save your money, nope, next.
I just let it go. I admit at the time I was not in a great place. I was after my divorce, after I left my job, I was confused, I was alone. I was just right for the picking for him, right? Because right now, in my mindset and in my life right now, I wouldn't even stop on his page. So he was very good at picking that vulnerability. This program that he sold me, he later kind of put it into a form of a sellable product. He has a page for it, and of course, it's way cheaper, right? It's about $200 right now for everything he sold me at the time. So a few months ago, I kind of woke up from this this dream I feel like I've been, and I'm like, this money that you charge me, didn't actually materialize in anything. That was not a fair charge. That was not okay. I want some of it back. You can keep whatever you're charging for the materials right now. That's more than fair. I had access to it whether I use it or not. But the rest of it, you have to refund. And he's like, there's no refund. He said, case closed, no refund. You use the program, goodbye.
Okay, this no refunds piece really gets me going. Again, I think it comes back to the fact that there's no recourse for these clients and there's no consequences for the coaches not delivering on the promises that they make.
I can charge you thousands of dollars, and if you don't get results, that's on you and your horrible mindset. I'm amazing, I'm so rich, block, bye.
It's awful.
Basically, charges all this money for this course, and I think he charges it on his own personal account, bank account. Because when I went back to my bank and I said, can I please have a trace of this charge? He charged me through a third party on the internet. I don't know exactly how it works. But my bank could actually not find a bank account that I was charged from. They couldn't find the bank account. They couldn't find the person or the business that charged me. So it's all very, very fishy. Very fishy.
Did you make payment with like a credit card or how did you pay for the program?
My debit cards. I paid him with my debit card.
Oh, so it was like a wire transfer.
Correct. So he sent me a link to pay. But she didn't send me, she sent me a fictitious bill because the business basically that was the letterhead doesn't exist. The business address in the letterhead is a apartment building in I don't know what state. Like I think it was his prior home address. So it was all fictitious. He didn't even legally charge me. I mean, of course you can charge the private individual, but he doesn't have a business. It's very fishy. The thing is, he goes on live on TikTok right now, and his letterhead says, "I built a six-figure business from scratch. Ask me how." So he's bragging about a business that is basically him charging money for materials he bought from a third party. He puts them on his personal page, charges people, and then he calls it a very successful business. It's all a joke because he actually doesn't have the knowledge to help anybody. He has, but his main moneymaker is the courses that she sells. Like that, they include everything. If you go on there, it it's a whole list of things that supposedly would change your life for $250. None of this relates to what I need and what I paid them a buttload of money for. But that's the thing. If I were to have bought the $250 course and went on there and go like, oh, okay, this is stuff I could have Googled, that's on me, right? That's not something I can ask for money back because I knew what I was getting. But he charged me 20 times as much for the same basic knowledge, right, that he shared with me, with nothing extra that could apply to my particular business and entrepreneurship endeavor, which is what I needed. I was desperate for advice on how to market my talent, right? That's what I paid him for. And he sent me to his links and he told me to call for clients and go to mini shops and give them samples. Like it wasn't a strategy, it wasn't anything. At the time I had no idea what's going on, but obviously it is till this day because he's still going. He's like I said, he's very successful. He's catching a lot of people into this little net. Not even just people who want a business. If you tell him you want to help with your business, he's going to tell you the same thing that if you told him you're depressed and you need to be healthier. He's going to sell you the same thing if you tell him, you don't know what to do with your life, or you have autoimmune disease, or you don't know how to get, a date, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, like I think that's the danger with a lot of these people is like if you're
Exactly.
charismatic
Yeah.
enough, you can position yourself as an expert
Right.
in literally anything. So I know everything about everything and I sound smart, so you're going to listen to me.
I feel so dumb looking back right now, but at the time I was perfect to fall into that trap. My mindset, I was self-conscious, I was sad, I was depressed, I was confused, and I had a lot of money, and I had, she was like, bam, you're it. I think I was his first and only person who he actually charged that amount.
This is something that comes up in my comments a lot, and I'm actually working on a deep dive video on this subject, and it's this narrative of like,
Oh my god, I don't know how anyone could fall for this. People are so dumb.
but here's the thing. It's not about intelligence. It's about vulnerabilities. It's about desires. It's about wanting to believe that there is a simple solution to a complex problem that you're facing. It's about someone being very skillful and very calculated and able to play on your emotions, your vulnerabilities, your desires, and offer you the perfect little answer to whatever your problem is. When we ourselves don't know what we don't know, we become more susceptible to believing that someone who presents themselves as an authority to us must be telling the truth, and the solutions that they're proposing to the problem that we're facing must be the right ones. It's not about being stupid, it's about being taken advantage of. I've fallen for it, this person has fallen for it, and so many people in my comment section and people I've interviewed on this channel have also fallen for it. So unless you think we're all really stupid, there's obviously something much deeper going on at play here.
I get dizzy and like, I don't know. It's so much money. I can't even. I don't know.
Well, especially when you're just starting out in business, because if you haven't made any money in your business yet, like to spend $5,000.
Correct. And I had spent a big amount. I had my own studio and my branding and everything. I spent a lot of money on ingredients. I had everything set up. I could have, if I had the right strategy, I could have actually did something with that. But I got so discouraged. I'm not saying it's his fault. I'm not saying that my business failed because of him. I'm just saying that I would be on a point that somebody like that should not have taken advantage. But for the stuff that he didn't know, he shouldn't have said, I can help you. He should have been honest that he had no idea about anything I was doing or trying to achieve.
That's the grift we see like in the industry as a whole, is people that don't know what they're doing, but they're so motivated by the desire to make a bunch of money that they are willing to pretend they know what they're talking about just so that you'll pay them.
Exactly. And oh my God, I helped so many people. And people who call him out, he actually shames them. If somebody calls him out in his lives, he immediately deletes them or makes fun of them. He doesn't answer any questions. Like, hey, what exactly is your business that you made?
I know I'm about to mention this in the clip that's going to play after this, but this right here is like the prime example of someone avoiding having to explain their experience or explain their credentials or qualifications. Anyone on the internet can pretend to be an expert at anything. That's what makes this so scary. And that's why it's so important that we, with access to things like Google, like YouTube, like Reddit, are doing our due diligence and looking up these people who we're considering hiring and being bold in our pursuit of really understanding whether or not what they're offering is true before we go ahead and believe whatever they're telling us and give them all our money. It's the same thing we see across the industry because, again, all these people, they don't have legitimate expertise. They want to like fake it till they make it. So when people ask questions to try and figure out like, do you actually know what you're talking about? Correct. They're going to deflect because they don't have the answer. So go do your own research. Correct. Google me. Woo.
Yeah, exactly. Go. Yeah. Did you read all the books I told you? Like, hey, I'm curious about this. Did you go to my page? Did you see did you read all the books? First read the books and then come back. Like that kind of stuff. It's all a joke. Looking at it with rational eyes and a clear mind, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous and laughable. But at the time, I was not in the position to be clear-minded and rational. I was just scared and confused.
And wanted someone to give you those answers.
I wanted a partner that would say, hey, we start here. Here's this person. Here's this resource. Like he actually took my money and then said, you should go on Fiverr and hire somebody to do your website. That's ridiculous. I mean, I know how to build a Shopify website right now. Thank you.
And that's the unfortunate piece is like you're paying all this money and like you or anyone that falls for one of these schemes, it's like you pay all this money to get information that you could have just Googled on your own and saved yourself the $5,000. Right. Like I'm sure if you Googled how to start a business, one of those articles would say, hire someone on Fiverr to build your website. Like you didn't need to pay someone to tell you to do that.
Right? Right. Or here's the link to the YouTube that actually taught me how to build my Shopify, which were 3 videos.
But they want to frame it like they have, the answer you need.
Yeah, here's what I'm different than everybody else. I'm gonna help you and I'm gonna give you all this knowledge. It's the most comprehensive, all-encompassing, everything you need to know. Look at all my collaborators. I have the best coaches. I have the best information, the best knowledge. It's ridiculous. And then she doesn't even have a legal business that she is functioning under. She doesn't. She doesn't have anything. I don't know. He's just making all this money for himself, I'm assuming.
Selling hopes and dreams into my personal bank account.
Exactly. And not paying taxes.
Now, as we near the end of the interview here, I will not be commenting on the legalities of this particular coach's business. I don't know how it works in the US, but I know in Canada, if you are a sole proprietor operating under your legal name, you're still considered a legal business. And you can have things like a business bank account that's in your legal name and you still owe taxes as a business. It just comes out under your name. So just for the record, I am not saying anything in regards to the validity of those accusations. But I also can completely understand and empathize with the frustration this person must have been experiencing in feeling like they were sold one thing and really just given something completely different. Thank you so much for taking the time to come and chat with me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I really do want to give a big thank you to this particular individual for taking the time to come and share their story with me. If you have a scam story that you want to submit, whether I read it out here on the channel or you want to come on for an interview, the form to do so is linked down below. I think that this person's story is just yet another example of the predatory and misleading tactics that so many of these coaches are using in order to lure people into whatever their offer is. And it's really just fueling this cycle of disappointment across the business space as a whole. Integrity seems to be at an all-time low, and really my hope is that through sharing these stories, it can help people to know sort of the red flags and things to look out for in their own journeys of building a legitimate business. So a big thank you to this individual, a thank you to you for watching this video. Please let me know what you thought of this format. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, you can give it a thumbs down. That's okay too. Take care, comb your hair, and if you haven't heard about how I lost $4,500 to a business coach back in 2018, I'm gonna tell you to go ahead and watch this video right here. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!